Hi everyone, and welcome to session 5. This is the last session that we'll be focusing primarily on algebra, although I'm sure you'll be making connections to algebra as we weave into the geometry sessions after next week's work session and then as share out the following week. So session 5 is about analyzing change in various contexts. And I just wanted to highlight a few things that I found interesting from the discussions from session 4. So Savannah actually brought up a really great point about creating an environment in which students feel vulnerable to make mistakes and to really share what they don't know in an effort to uncover things that they can apply and really tackle so that they can make new meaning. So creating an environment where students can feel vulnerable is really great, especially when they're learning math. As you know, it's really hard for students to admit that they don't know something. Math is kind of that prime subject where students really sometimes are ashamed and act out in an effort to kind of to shy away from that. The other thing, Janelle came up with this whole notion that math should be fun, and I completely agree with that. Hopefully throughout the sessions you have seen a pattern which I think has come up through the use of the word engagement. Engaging students in math to get them to apply themselves, to be hands-on, to really make sense of math through manipulatives and games and those kind of things are really, really key. And as we switch into the geometry sessions, you'll see this more, this presence of online applications to help with the manipulatives, especially in this whole wave of one-to-one technology. So back to session 5. As you've probably seen in math, change is constant. And as students develop a deeper sense of algebraic thinking, they begin to explore ways to actually consider change. So think about at the earliest stages of elementary school, so pre-K through second grade. Students typically describe change in ways such as students growing taller in the classroom. So, you know, you may have the students line up at the beginning of the year and at the middle of the year and at the end of the year and chart growth across the grade. They can use that to describe change. They can say, I've grown 2 inches taller, or I've grown X amount over my classmates. And it's a really fun and engaging way that I'm sure that some of you early elementary teachers have actually engaged students in this whole notion of change. In grades 3 through 5, students investigate change in relation to variables and how variables actually relate to second variables or third variables. And they describe situations that look at rate and how rates actually can be changed and represented, which goes into that upper elementary 6th through 8th grade middle school kind of period where students actually graph change. Or rates of change on graphs and means like that. So as you go through this series of activities for this session, you'll see that we're primarily dealing with change as it relates to graphs and stories behind graphs. So have fun with the activities. If you have any questions in relation to the activities, please let me know as always. And as we think about the transition into the work week next week, please know that if any of you have any questions or you would like to set up a time to talk with me about the assignment, please do so. I've already spoke to a couple of students in the class about the assignment. The assignment has 3 specific pieces to it. The first one is a 2 to 3 page paper, if you will, that summarizes the math content from sessions 1 through 5. So think about this as a more formalized way of summarizing your discussion posts and your reflections. So talk through the content, how the content is delivered, and all of the pieces that relate to the content as it goes from grade to grade to grade. The second piece to the assignment is a video reflection. Once again, think about this as a summary of the reflections that you've done. You can do this through VoiceThread, where you talk over a PowerPoint, or you can do this in YouTube, where you just basically talk for 5 to 7 minutes, or 7 to 10 minutes, depending on how much time you need. Please do not make it longer than 10 minutes for your classmates' sake. And then the last part is a plan that actually takes one or two of the elements that you've learned, one of the hands-on activities that you've experienced, and formalizes that in a way in which you would incorporate that into your classroom. So many of you have incorporated some of this thinking in your discussion posts and the application of some of the activities. So it's more of a formalized version of that. Feel free to write that plan out or incorporate that into the video reflection. I will post additional information about how you submit the assignments into Blackboard over the course of next week. In addition to that, some of you have reached out in regards to the cooperative learning work that I've done, specifically in math, and how cooperative learning models like student teams, achievement divisions can be used to really leverage your students' engagement patterns within your classroom. So for those of you who are interested, during the work week, I will set up a few opportunities for you to engage in some additional learning around the cooperative learning pieces that are in addition to the cooperative learning handbook. Like I said in last week's video, please feel free to use the cooperative learning handbook and the strategies in your plan and in your reflections and in your summaries. So if you do have any questions, please reach out. If not, welcome to session 5, and I look forward to seeing you on the discussion post. Thank you and have a good week.